Oh, I gotta turn my stuff on. Here we are.
How are you?
How are you?
I'm good.
Can you hear
And
me
you know
okay?
what's crazy? We're probably 20 minutes apart.
What do you mean?
Well, you're in Nashville, right?
Yeah.
So we're not that far apart.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah, 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 yeah. I was like, wait, what? What do you
Don't
mean? Where
worry.
am I?
Well,
What's going on?
that's got to be hard for you because you fly from California to Nashville, and like, how often do you spend between the two places?
Um, well, I would say probably 2, 3 weeks, and then I'm back here for 2, 3 weeks, and then but like it just really depends on what I'm doing with my life.
You've got to have like a lot of frequent flyer miles.
Frequent flyer miles. I'm basically always living out of a suitcase. Yeah, it's a lot, but it's
I
fun.
I feel that way as a travel ball mom with baseball. I'm
Oh,
like, we got home from Jackson, Tennessee, I think 2 weeks ago. I still haven't unpacked yet, and we're headed out again this weekend. It's crazy.
girl, my suitcase is like right here in my living room with like bras and everything hanging out of it.
Yeah.
So I totally know. I'm like, where's that bra? Oh, there it is. So I get it.
So I'm so happy you're joining Conversations with Kris. Of course, we're talking to Leah Turner. Gosh, there's so much. I mean, we've known each other for so many years. There's so many things that I want to talk to you about, and kind of starting at the beginning. And what I
Yeah.
mean the beginning is when we first met.
Vegas.
And
Was it in Vegas?
no, it was in Louisville. It was right
You're
before
right. It was in
Vegas. Yeah.
Louisville. Yep.
So we met in Louisville, had to be 2012, maybe
I didn't,
2013.
no, I didn't move to Nashville until 2014.
Okay, then it was Vegas.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, because I didn't move to Nashville. Well, I moved to Nashville in 2013, but nothing came out until 2014, I believe. I could be wrong. I'm really bad
Okay.
with numbers,
If
but it was
that's
a
the
long time ago.
yes, and if that was the case, then I was in Vegas. So you were promoting your single at the time.
Hmm.
And tell me what it was like the minute you got your record deal. Like, what was all the, like, walk someone through who's never gotten a record deal, wants to get one. What is it like?
Yeah. Well, it's a lot of hard work. And I remember when I signed the deal, so I was like the quickest signing to Sony in 12 years.
Wow.
And yeah, but leading up to that, I mean, I had made so many demos, written so many songs, really had no idea what I was doing at all. I just knew that God had given me this burning and desire in my heart and in my belly, and I wanted to sing. And so we were figuring it out. And when I came here to Nashville, I slept on an air mattress for the first 6 to 8 months. I had just left an engagement. And I lived with a songwriter named Phil Barton in his spare room on an air mattress and walked dogs and cleaned houses. And I mean, anything that I could do to just keep myself alive and be able to continue to write music and pursue this. And then got signed, and before I even had like the ink had dried on the contract, I was already on radio tour with Take the Keys. And I think it happened so quickly because I spent a good year here writing every day, and all of the songs that were released on that EP were already written and basically produced by Jesse Frazier and Carrie Barlow. So I think that's why it happened so quickly. And then you really don't know what you're getting yourself into. I mean, you think radio tour, you don't know what that means. I'm like, what? And you are in a car, you're in a van, you're on a plane, you're in a bus, I mean, from everywhere, 3 different radio stations, pretty much every day. Then you have dinners afterwards. And it is it's a wild, wild ride, but it's fun.
So how did you get signed? Like, who was it that discovered you? And by the way, I always find it funny when people think, oh, they're a new artist. Well, technically, but how many years before they got signed? You know what I mean? It's not like you just
Right.
woke up one day and, oh, I'm a new artist.
Right. So I had an attorney by the name of Jeff Biederman, and he was like, I'm going to send some of these demos over to Jim Catino, who was the VP of A&R at the time. And I was like, I'm not ready. Like, what do you mean? I don't know what. So I sent him over there, and I got a call from Jim Catino, and he asked if I would come in and play live. And so I did that. And on that meeting, on the spot, he said, I'd like to offer you a record deal. And I was like, what?
What does
And
that
he was
mean?
like, yeah, I was like, what? And he was like, do you want to, be signed to Sony? And I was like, yes. And then I signed a publishing deal with Warner Chappell, or this music through Warner Chappell. And then I was just off to the races. And I remember Gary Overton at the time, he said, the president at the time, he said to me, he said, getting the record deal is the easy part. And I'm like, that was easy? Like, what do you mean? Like, I've been working for like 10 years trying to get this record deal.
Right.
And boy, was he not wrong. I mean, it is to continue to put out music that people want to listen to continue to really brand yourself, find your brand, and become the best version of yourself and artist that you can. So it's a long road.
So
and then I got dropped.
We'll get to that in a second. I mean, at least you have a sense of humor about it, right? Things happen for a reason.
Well,
but
what are you going to do?
Well, but let's before we even get to the radio tour getting dropped, for those who don't know, can you explain record deal versus a publishing deal? Now, artists? I would assume if artists don't write, they're not going to get a publishing deal, obviously. But explain the difference?
Yeah, so a record deal is the company, whatever said company would be, they put promotion and marketing and music videos, and they actually pay for all of the music that you guys hear on the radio. That's the record deal. So they take care of all of those visuals and imaging for the actual product. And then a publishing deal, if you're an artist songwriter, then you're, writing for yourself most of the time. So then that record label can have a product to put out. Now, if you're, and I use this loosely, just a songwriter, because you're not just a songwriter, but not pursuing an artist career, you write for other people. And sometimes when you're an artist songwriter, and you don't cut a song, they pitch it to other people, and then that can parlay into you getting cuts on other artists that their record label would promote and market, and then send you out to meet every radio person on God's green earth of America.
And and that's true, because a lot of people may not realize, but like, for example, Sam Hunt, he wrote several hits for other artists, Chris Stapleton, Eric Paslay, before even signing to their own record deal as well.
Right. And a lot of times, doing that type of stuff, it's just like more feathers in your hat, to where you're getting, and then they finally wake up and say, oh, wow, not only are they great songwriters, they're incredible artists. I mean, Chris Stapleton couldn't get arrested in town as an artist. But he was writing all these songs and singing background for Luke Bryan on his demos, and things like that. And then finally, thank God that they woke up, and now we have Chris Stapleton, who's like the most amazing voice ever.
Yes, he is. So you're out on radio tour where I met you in Vegas. I still think it's Louisville, but whatever. Who knows? But you're meeting, and for those who don't know, when you're on radio tour, you're meeting with the program director, you're meeting with the music director, sometimes on-air staff, and usually the program director or music director is on the air nowadays as well. So you're developing those relationships, which are key, as you know, with radio. What were some of the things that you wish you would have known now, or that now that you wish you would have known going into that? Because I think it's a lot.
It is
I
a
know
lot.
how us radio people are.
Well, you're one of the good ones.
Oh, thank you.
You know, it's I wish I would have known that every time we go to dinner and they are just ordering and you have at the end of the day a $700, $800 tab, that's on your name and you have to pay that back. And you don't make any money until you pay back the label of what they've spent.
Right.
So that was a shocker. You know, everything is recoupable. And I'm like, oh, it's a 2-drink minimum here, buddy.
Water
and
only.
No, yeah, and no lobster to go. Okay. Like, geez.
Oh,
I'm trying to survive.
Stop the lobster to go. Oh, we won't even go there.
So, and also, you know, you have to have thick skin to know that just because you're meeting with them or just because you're having dinner with them or, you know, going to the early morning station and singing or this or that or whatever, doesn't mean they're going to add your song.
Right.
You know, and I think that a lot of artists don't realize that, because I know I didn't. Yeah. And then it can be crushing, you know, because you're like, oh my God, like I just went to 15 radio stations at 7 o'clock in the morning, sang my butt off. And it's like, well, let's see when it gets up, you know, here, or let's see when it gets here. And it's like, if you don't add it, it's not going to get there. Right. You know? So like help a homie out.
And I think for me, it would be like, I would take it personal. Like, oh my God, they hate me. I thought we had great conversation. And by the way, as just so you know, and any artist out there, it isn't personal at all. It's a business.
Yeah, it is. And
business.
Yeah. And it's hard because, you know, it's hard to have a business with emotion, because those are not supposed to come together, right? Like you can't have emotion in business, right? But all music is emotion.
Right.
So it's like, how does that work, you know? So you really just have to have that thick skin and believe in yourself, and just don't let it affect you, and let it roll off, and it eventually will come around. And if it doesn't, something else will.
Yeah,
but it's not easy.
Things happen for a reason, although we don't always agree or know why. Sometimes later we find out why. But so you're in radio tour, which by the way, this goes with radio tour a lot of times. And I think I really believe in this as a PD music director and just developing a talent, is doing the shows. Most of them are free starting out. But the reason why I think it benefits an artist, and tell me if I'm wrong, but you're connecting with an audience. So say you're doing a show in Vegas, you're connecting with those listeners in Vegas, you're meeting them, and then, you know, they become fans, and then you're doing another show in Chicago or wherever. So, I mean, did you see where that was beneficial for you?
Yeah, I definitely think because you have a built-in audience right there, and you're connecting with a market that you normally wouldn't be able to connect with. And I do think that that's beneficial and really an amazing thing. It would just be rad if there could be like a happy medium between, you know, the going to every show, because it's free, but it's not free for us. Like we're basically paying to play, you know? And so if there could be that happy medium there, I think people would be a lot more willing, or not that they're not willing, but maybe a little bit more excited about it.
Right. Like maybe there's a way to pay the band and pay,
something,
you know, merch,
pay your
money
travel,
off merch. Yeah. Pay travel.
You know, something, you know, because everything's coming out of, which a lot of people don't know, everything's coming out of your not your immediate pocket, but it's coming out of your pocket.
So how do you find out that you got dropped? How did that all happen?
It was really wild. So, well, the president was got let go, and I was on the Brad Paisley tour, and I got a call from my managers, and they said Gary Overton is no longer going to be the president, and they are going to let you go. And like I got dropped, Sarah Evans got dropped, Tyler Farr, and Jared Neiman. And Love and Theft had gotten dropped like a couple of months before.
Right.
And I had to like still walk out on that stage for another 4 months, like acting like I still, like my dream possibly couldn't have been ripped out from underneath me.
Right. And that's got to be like, oh my gosh, talk about acting at its finest.
Yeah. So, and I'm grateful, because Katina was like, um, nothing's going to come out on you for 26 weeks or longer because we have no idea who the president's going to be. And I was only signed for 1 year, and I had I think Take the Keys died at like 32 or 36 or something like that. And in that 1 year, I toured 6 months with Brad Paisley, had top 40 single, and was only signed for that year. And so he said, "You won't be tainted.
Right.
It won't be like you've tried all your tries in a sense."
Yeah.
And I just was like, well, all of this for that. Like it's just really wild and crushing.
So what
Not fun.
happens? Okay, so that happens, and then you get off a tour, and what are you thinking? Like, are you like, what's my next steps? What am I gonna do?
Yeah, I had no idea. I literally had no idea. I'm like, how am I going to pay my bill? Like I
Yeah.
had no idea. Um, because it was a whirlwind, a
Yeah.
year is not a long time.
Right.
And so my publisher at the time, he stuck by me, and my agent at the time, she stuck by me, and so continued to book shows and festivals. And I was able to, go ahead and do a couple of shows with Jake Owen and Rascal Flatts and Cole Swindell and more festivals and stuff like that, And my publisher, we wrote songs, and they paid for some demos to be able to push out there. But at that time, without a budget for radio, it doesn't matter,
Right.
because Spotify wasn't as big, Apple wasn't as big. You really needed a major label, and major label funds to continue. And
So
I didn't
let's
have that anymore.
let's kind of fast forward to, I don't want to go to 2020. I don't think anyone wants to go to 2020,
Never.
but let's fast forward to like 2021.
Yeah.
Okay. So now Spotify's out there, Apple Music, there's more room. I really think it's there's so many great platforms, obviously TikTok, and Instagram and everything, but I think there's so many great platforms for new artists, established artists, to get their music out without having to go through traditional radio, which, I mean, I'm radio, so I
Right.
understand. I understand
Yeah.
where we all belong. Let's put it that way.
Right.
So what do you think, when was it that and I don't want to say the light clicked on, but when was it when you saw, oh, wow, this is what I can do. Here's my opportunity. Because all of a sudden it was like, you're everywhere again,
Right.
without going through radio. So how did that all, like, what started that, or how did it all happen?
Yeah. Well, for me, I finally was like, all right, like, am I just going to continue down this lane of being another blonde hair, blue eyed, country singer? Like, what am I going to, what am I missing? And I've always talked about me being half Mexican. I've always spoke about me, my roots, that they're very planted in the cowboy way, and then being second generation Mexican American. And so before 2021, I was like, you know what? I'm going to start implementing um, that, bringing those two worlds together into the music. And so I had my agent pull a deck of all the statistics of what Hispanics listen to, what the trajectory of the audience would be, because I know when you do something different, people want to see facts, because to your point, it's a business.
Right.
And, and so I had them pull, I mean, everything, because that people don't understand how much the Mexican culture and the cowboy culture interlock and interchange.
Mm-hmm.
And so that right there, I was able to peel back another layer of who I was. and hit a whole other demographic that other people are not able to hit. And that's when it clicked for me, that I was like, I can take this worldwide. So then I just started pushing through that, and it's allotted me a lot of wonderful opportunities. It's to represent country music, a genre that I love, and then to be Mexicana and be in country music. And just the responses that from like Mexicanos, that like, you can come to the carne, mijita, like,
Yeah.
whatever. Really being like, okay, prima, okay, familia, like really embracing. And that's where it clicked to me. And then it opened so many doors, and that's where I'm able to be here and have my clothes hanging in the Grammy Museum, and
Yes.
and have all the publicity and things that I've gotten. And I think a lot of that is testament to being 100% who you are.
Yes.
And never like forgetting about one side, or pushing off one side because this one side makes more sense, embracing, because people can feel authenticity. And that's when it busted wide open for me.
And by the way, we've had these conversations for years, because
Yeah.
my husband is half Hispanic as well.
Right.
And then coming from California, which a lot of people always think, oh, California is LA. No. There's a lot of ag land in California. And I'll never forget when I was at Radio Disney, which I believe you came by.
I did.
Yes. But the funniest thing is, you came by in 2019 and you told me, you go, I'm going to be driving my dually down. You were driving dually, and I go, girl, I don't know how you're going to park. This is Burbank. And you go, I can back that thing up with a trailer on it and parallel park in less than 5 minutes. I'm like, that right there. I mean, if you're not a cowgirl, I don't know what is.
True story. I was like, I'll be fine. Don't worry about it. It's cool.
I'm like, and I can drive with a trailer in the back, but I'm like, girl, dang.
Oh, that is funny. That is really funny. Oh my God. Yes, that is a true story.
That is true. And I love the fact that you are being true to who you are, because I know you not only as Leah Turner, but as a friend. And you are 100% Hispanic, Latina.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like when you have a conversation with you, that's a big part. And I think a lot of times, like you said, people put that on the back burner because they're like, well, will it sell? Will it not? Not you necessarily, but maybe your team or whatever, which always blew my mind because, being from Arizona, my husband's from California, it's heavily Hispanic. That is a huge culture,
Texas,
Yes.
I mean, and the thing is that like country music, and I say this all the time, has always had such a love affair with the Hispanic, the Mexicano, the Latino culture, and a lot of the American cowboy traditions came from the vaqueros, which were the first cowboys. And so they've been living alongside Mexicans in their country music since day one, and I don't think people correlate those two. And for me to be able to, I hate saying educate because that just sounds so like snotty, but to bring up, or I don't know what the word is, I guess just educate that, even the word buckaroo came from white people not being able to say vaquero.
Right. Yeah.
So a lot of it, trickles down. And so to me, it makes sense. And I'm grateful that I am now free to embrace that. And I am now free to be 100% who I am, and really show other people, other Latinos, Mexicanos, Hispanics, that there's room here in country music for them as well. And and then educate where the history came from.
I
Nicely.
love right. I love the Hispanic culture, as you know. I always feel like my husband's always like, you should have been the one that was
Yeah,
Hispanic,
that's okay.
because I'm the one doing the tamales and the pozole, and I like
Right,
heat, and I love all the culture and everything. Now, one thing my mother-in-law tried to teach my husband Spanish, but he knows certain words. Most of them are bad, but you
right.
actually speak Spanish
Yeah, so
and sing it, but you
I'm
said
but
it's harder.
it is, well, because I never had sang in Spanish, like recorded in Spanish.
Mhm.
And it is a completely it's a different thing, because especially flipping from English to Spanish, because the vowels are different. Like, and then writing, that we have we have, you know, fly, and we have different vowels in English, where in Spanish a lot of it is, O's and A's and IR and AR, so it's different trying to find those rhymes. But what I have noticed is that when I do sing in Spanish, I feel like I tap into a completely different side that I didn't even realize singing in Spanish would do for me.
Wow.
And it's like I don't know, it's like there's like a depth, like I have depth in singing in English, but it's what I feel inside, and it's really exciting to tap into that, into a side that not everybody knows that I had, but now they do.
I love your parents, by the way. They're so cute. You look like a blonde version of your mom. I mean, like when you post the pictures of her when she was younger, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's like Leah if she had darker hair, but they are so
Right.
cute. How
Thank
proud
you.
are they of, everything you've accomplished? And then of course, now that you're doing more with your heritage, how proud are
Yeah.
they?
They're very proud. My parents got married in a time where you didn't marry outside your race. And so they've always been fighters, and they've always, done things a little bit differently. And that's been instilled in me. And so they're very proud, because it's an easier road for me to just be the blonde hair, blue-eyed country singer,
Yeah.
because everybody knows that formula. It's not an easy road, the road that I've chosen to go down, and really speak on behalf of Hispanics and Mexicanos and Latinos. It's not an easy road, because people don't really know. It's different, so they're like, oh, I don't know what to do. I don't know the formula. But I'm no stranger to that game, because my parents have always walked down the road. But when you walk down a harder road, sometimes to be different, something really awesome comes out of it. So
So
they're very, very proud. They're
I,
excited.
I can tell. You could tell on your TikToks and everything. Now, I do have to ask you this. What are you working on right now? Because I see you have, it seems like you have so much going on. I'm like, girl, when do you get a chance to like sleep? Well, obviously you're traveling back and forth on top
I
of
was like
everything.
blow drying my I was blow drying my hair. Like, I was like, crap, I have to go. Like, I know I probably shouldn't say this on, but I had like a long shirt on and no pants, because I was like, they won't see it.
Right,
I have
exactly.
no makeup on. Oh,
Oh, stop. You look gorgeous.
thank you. But I'm agreeing with you that I don't know, but when the phone stops ringing and you stop having things to do, that's when you should be worried. And I know it gets tiring, or you feel like, oh, I just want to sleep, or I don't want to go here, I don't want to do that.
Yeah,
Like, I remember what it was like when nobody was calling after I lost
right.
my deal. And so I am always grateful to be busy, because it can stop in a moment. So right now I'm working on a new EP. I have some really cool features that are going to be coming out, with some great, friends and whatever. And it's going to be in that same vein of the EP Lost in Translation was. And I'm working with a guy named Brett Boyette, and he's an amazing producer. And he isn't Mexicano, but he thinks he is. So it's great.
Don't worry, I think I am
Yeah,
sometimes too.
exactly. So, and his fiance is Mexicana, and so it's just cool to see people love the culture and really believe in it and want to do that. So we're finishing that up this week before I leave on the road this weekend, and we should be. First single should be out like mid-July, I think. I would have to look at an email.
And where can everyone find your stuff? Socials.
You can find me on all socials, Leah Turner Music, and then you can stream on all streaming platforms, Leah Turner.
Thank you for hanging out. This was fun.
Thank you. It was fun. Thank you for having me. We always have fun together.
I know. Now I want to see you back up that dually. We got to try that again. I wish
Yeah,
I had
yeah,
video
yeah.
of that.
Oh, that's so funny that you remember that.
Oh
Oh
my
my gosh.
gosh.
Yeah.